The question of whether Afghanistan and the United States could go to war again is a complex and highly sensitive issue rooted in history, geopolitics, and current events. The US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, marking the end of a 20-year-long war, left behind deep scars, political instability, and a power vacuum that was quickly filled by the Taliban. However, even after the withdrawal, tensions between the two sides remain, with several factors that could reignite hostilities. The most critical element is the Taliban's governance. While they have promised a more moderate rule, their policies on human rights, women's education, and ties with extremist groups remain concerning for the West. The US still considers Afghanistan a potential hub for terrorism, especially with groups like ISIS-K gaining strength. A major factor that could trigger another war would be if the Taliban failed to prevent Afghanistan from becoming a breeding ground for international terrorism. The US has already carried out drone strikes targeting terrorist leaders in Afghanistan, showing that even after withdrawal, it is willing to take military action when necessary. Additionally, America's geopolitical interests in the region, particularly concerning China, Russia, and Iran, could indirectly lead to a re-engagement in Afghanistan, either through proxy conflicts or targeted military operations. Another key issue is the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. If the Taliban's rule leads to extreme oppression, mass starvation, or genocide, international pressure could force the US and its allies to intervene militarily under the pretext of humanitarian aid. However, the American public is largely against another war, especially after the costly failures of the previous one, making it unlikely that the US would engage in a full-scale military invasion. Instead, future conflicts would likely take the form of drone strikes, special operations, or supporting anti-Taliban factions within Afghanistan. Furthermore, regional dynamics play a crucial role. Pakistan, China, and Russia all have stakes in Afghanistan's stability, and if tensions rise between these powers and the US, Afghanistan could once again become a battleground for global rivalries. Another factor that cannot be ignored is Afghanistan's vast untapped mineral wealth, which is estimated to be worth trillions of dollars. The global race for resources could further complicate Afghanistan's political landscape, drawing major powers into conflict over its strategic assets. Additionally, the Taliban's growing economic ties with China and their willingness to strengthen relations with Russia could increase US concerns about losing influence in the region. If diplomatic tensions escalate, economic sanctions, covert operations, or even direct military action could follow. The Taliban's internal struggles, divisions among extremist factions, and their ongoing fight against ISIS-K also create a volatile situation that could spill over into international conflict. Moreover, if terrorist attacks linked to Afghan-based groups occur on Western soil, the US might feel compelled to take decisive military action. The influence of Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which have historically played a role in Afghanistan's affairs, could also determine how the situation unfolds. As Afghanistan remains in economic distress, worsening poverty and desperation could push more people toward radicalization, creating a long-term security threat. Another key consideration is the role of intelligence operations. Both the CIA and other global intelligence agencies will closely monitor Afghanistan, and any critical developments could lead to preemptive actions. If the Taliban fails to gain legitimacy on the world stage, diplomatic isolation might push them toward policies that further provoke Western intervention. The possibility of war depends on whether Afghanistan becomes a direct threat to US security interests, whether the Taliban engages in activities that provoke military retaliation, or whether external pressures force American intervention. As of now, while a large-scale war is unlikely, the potential for targeted military actions, economic sanctions, and political confrontations remains high, keeping Afghanistan at the center of global strategic interests.